Hi, how are you guys doing? It is Friday. You guys are going to be doing this coding packet and it's loaded for you. I want you to understand that you're only going to start with coding practice 2. This little part down here, I don't want y'all to worry about this top section. We're going to be starting here and then you guys are going to have these pages for your coding practice and I'm going to work a few with you. So we're actually going to start with number 1, and I know that this is upside down. I'll turn it around as much as possible. I'm using the webcam, and again, this is a learning process for me with the webcam, so I'm hoping that you can understand what I'm doing. First of all, I'm going to turn this around so you guys can take a look at the surgery guidelines. Remember, our qualifying circumstances are here in our guidelines. Then we have modifiers that are found here. And then we also have HCPCS modifiers. And I do have my HCPCS book out where I have actually highlighted modifiers that I could use with anesthesia because I wanted to be able to pick those out quickly. Okay, so let's start with our first problem. Now I'm going to turn mine back around and I can turn it back and forth. So we're on number 1, which is right here. You guys don't have to be able to read mine because you have a copy of your own. So it's a 77-year-old healthy male patient with controlled diabetes mellitus underwent intraocular lens transplant surgery for which general anesthesia was administered. Okay, so the very first thing that I know that I can pull out of there is that this was a 77-year-old male. And if you're wondering what I'm writing, I always have a scratch piece of paper. So I automatically know that I'm going to need a 99100 as my qualifying circumstance. You guys remember that? So I know I'm going to go ahead and write that down just because it's the first thing I can abstract out of there that I know I'm going to need. Okay, so what did he have done? He underwent an intraocular lens transplant, and it was general anesthesia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn to my alphabetic index. And if I turn this around, you guys can see what I've done to my alphabetic index is my alphabet's there. And I know I want anesthesia, so all I have to do is pull up my A. So I'm going to go to anesthesia. And I'm doing this upside down, so I want you guys to give me a little grace. So if you look here, look right here, anesthesia. So what did we have done? It's an intraocular lens transplant. So let's start with intraocular. So do we see intraocular? I don't see intraocular. So let's try lens, L-E-N-S. I don't see lens. So we know the intraocular is the eye, correct? So let's try eye. So here on the eye, it tells me, when I go to eye, it gives me a code range of 00140 through 00148. It doesn't give us lens. Oh, it does give us lens. Oh my goodness, Eureka, I missed it. So if we look under eye, because intraocular, ocular means eye, and we see lens, and what does it say? It says 00142. Now, I can't just write that down, guys. I have to code 2 ways. So I found it in my index. I'm going back to my tabular, and I'm just going to look for 00142, lens surgery. So my answer is going to be 00142. Okay, and then I have my qualifying circumstances, NN So I'm going to need modifiers though, right? Because in our scenario, this patient has controlled diabetes. So he has a systemic disease. Since it's controlled, it's going to be mild, which gives us a P2 modifier. And then it was general anesthesia. So the anesthesia services were performed personally by an anesthesiologist, and it's going to be an AA. So I'm going to write this down for you, or I'm going to just show you my answer. This is my answer. My answer is 00142 P2 AA modifier and then 99100. So let's recap while we're using these. 00142 is for the anesthesia for our lens surgery. 99100 is our qualifying circumstance because the patient was 77 years old. And remember, I found that in my guidelines, so I don't have to go to the medicine section. I know they're in my guidelines, and so I just went here, and so I know that. Why am I using a P2? I'm using a P2 because the patient had a systemic disease, which was diabetes. So I have to have a P2. And then why am I using AA? Because he was under general anesthesia, which means that the anesthesiologist did it. And it did not indicate that the physician did the anesthesia. So 00142 P2 AA modifier, qualifying circumstance 99100. Okay, so let's move to number 2. A 5-year-old healthy boy was admitted to the pediatrics floor of an acute care hospital and underwent Tiponostomy, for which general anesthesia was administered. So, I'm just reading again. So the little boy was 5 years old. Let's look. He wasn't younger than 1 or older than 70. So we are not going to use a qualifying circumstance. So we don't need that second code. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back to our index, back to anesthesia. And if you guys want to mark anesthesia with a big tab, you can. So you can just flip there. So we did a Tiponostomy. So I'm just going to start using my alphabet and look for Tiponostomy. And I found it right here. So it's 00120. So you guys see? Well, I'm scared to take it off of the thing because I'm scared I can't get it back up there. But I'm going to just risk it. Let's just risk it. You see the Tiponostomy right here. I'm sorry, I can't get it any better than that. So it says 00120. So now I've got to put you back up here. Hope I don't make you seasick. There we go. That's pretty good. So 00120. So I have to code 2 ways, right? 2 ways. So I'm going back to my tabular. Look at 00120. I skipped my anesthesia section. So 00120 on this side. Anesthesia for procedures on external, middle, or inner ear, including biopsy not otherwise specified. So it's going to be 00120. And there's several different choices, but the words do not match up perfectly. So it's going to be 00120. I know that the numbers are not very clear, but you guys are going to have to just work with me on that. You're seeing my process. You're seeing the process in which we code. So let's see, what do we know? We know that he's a healthy boy, correct? So let's go to our physical status modifiers. P1 says a normal, healthy patient. P1. Then it was general anesthesia for an anesthesiologist, so AA. And so this is our answer. 00120, P1, and AA. Okay. Let's go to, let's say, number 10 on the next page. Number 10 right here. Yes, I've already worked them, but a 25-year-old male heroin addict complaining of severe headaches was admitted to the psychiatric floor of an acute care hospital. After detoxification, the patient still had headaches. Increased spinal fluid pressure was noted. He underwent diagnostic lumbar spinal puncture performed under regional anesthesia. Okay, so we're going to go to the alphabetic index, remember? Anesthesia, so what did we do? Number 10, we did a lumbar spinal puncture. So I'm going to look under spinal puncture. Okay, it says spine and spinal cord. So it says cervical injection, and it says lumbar, and it gives us a range. It gives us 00630 through 00635. Then it gives us 00640, and it gives us 00670. This is why I always have paper with me or a little pad, and when you're in class, I give out little pads, because I can't remember what I'm looking for, and I don't want to flip back and forth. So I am going to go look at my codes, and I'm going to start with 00630. Oh, 630, anesthesia for procedures in lumbar region not otherwise specified. Okay, but this is specified. So 00632, lumbar symptomectomy, that doesn't match up. 00635, diagnostic or therapeutic lumbar puncture. So what did we do? We underwent a diagnostic lumbar spinal puncture performed under regional anesthesia. So I believe that's the answer, 00635. What do you guys think? 00635. So we don't need a qualifying circumstances CPT code, because he's not brain dead, he's not on death's door, he doesn't have this, well, let's see. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let me look at the qualifying modifiers. And guys, I'm coding with you just like we're talking in class. So not extreme age, not hypothermia, not hypertension. And this was not an emergency that I can see in our scenario. Okay, so we don't need a qualifying circumstance CPT code. So let's go to our physical status modifier. Okay, so he's not a normal healthy patient. He would be a patient with mild systemic disease. So it's going to be a P2 and then an AA. Because it's not severe and he's not a healthy patient, so that P2 is in between. So I believe our answer is going to be 00635 with a P2 and an AA modifier. Okay, I'm going to use the other side of my paper. And I am going to choose, let's go up to number 7. Go up to number 7. A 78-year-old female smoker was admitted for shortness of breath, hypertension, and bloody sputum. She was diagnosed with pneumonia and underwent a pneumonocentesis performed under general anesthesia. So let's automatically glean, she's 78 years old. So if you remember your qualifying circumstance CPT codes here, that just automatically hits my head first. So we know that she's older than 70. So we're going to need that 99100. Okay. So she underwent a pneumonocentesis. So let's go back to anesthesia, back to our index, and back to our anesthesia. Here we go. And a pneumonocentesis. So we're just going to just follow our alphabet. Okay, and it gives me CPT code 00524. So I'm just going to write it down, 00524. Now I'm going to go back because we're coding 2 ways. So 00524. Pneumonocentesis right there, 00524. Now, are we finished? No, we're not finished because the female was admitted for shortness of breath, hypertension, and bloody sputum. So let's look at our modifiers. So hypertension, shortness of breath, she's a smoker. I'm going to assign a P3, a patient with severe systemic disease, because hypertension can be very severe. Okay, and then we're going to do AA for the anesthesiologist assistant. Okay, you may say, well, how in the world am I going to know how severe that systemic disease is and all that? Remember, this is just practice. Your physician is actually going to tell you what modifiers he wants you to use. He's going to write it on there. But we're just doing this for practice purposes. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Let's see. Let's do number 40. So turn to number 40. Oh, guys, let me make sure number 7 was 00524 P3 AA modifier and 99100. Okay, turn to number 40. General anesthesia was administered to a 6-month-old child with mild systemic disease who underwent anesthesia for a brand new procedure, not yet classified in the CPT. The patient was observed in recovery by nursing staff and evaluated by the anesthesiologist before being transferred to the pediatric unit of the hospital. The nursing staff placed an IV line for saline and postoperative pain medication. Okay, so first of all, it's 6 months old. So we know we're going to need that 99100 because of the age. The next thing I want you to look up, I want you to look and see, brand new procedure, not yet classified in the CPT. So if it's not yet classified in the CPT, what in the world are we going to do? I want you to turn to your very last code of the anesthesia section. Unlisted anesthesia procedures. They unlisted always in a 99. Right there. it kind of gave you that one. So the CPT code is going to be 00199. 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, it's O. Sorry, I put an extra 0 in there, guys. 01999. Now we're going to need modifiers. General anesthesia, A, that's the second one. And it said that if there was mild systemic disease, which is P2. So that's your answer. 01999 P2 AA modifier 99100 qualifying circumstance modifier. All right, I hope that you guys got a lot out of that. I hope that you understood. Oh, let me turn my answer key over. If you have any questions, let me know. And you guys, just think outside the box. Just try. I find this so fun. I enjoy it. And I hope that you're going to enjoy this too. Bye-bye.